Hi loves, welcome to the channel Style by C. Today's tutorial will be on how to sew this Ankara vest. Do subscribe, share and like. So first thing first we're going to be marking out now is full length of our dress. Okay, so for this tutorial we're going to be working with 22 inches. Now here now, which is the starting line, I'm going to go ahead and insert my shoulder measurements, which is 8 inches. So my shoulder line, I marked 8 inches for my shoulder measurements. That is, my shoulder divided by 2 will give me half of it. Then from there I came down to 1 inch. This is for my shoulder slope. On the same shoulder line, I will mark my neck width, which is 3 inches. I'll connect it to my shoulder slope. And this is what I have. The next step now is to divide what you have on your bust measurements by 6, add 1.5 inches to it. This is to get your neck chest line stroke your armhole depth. Alright, and that is what I did here. Okay, so I'll on the same this line, which is my chest line, I'll mark my shoulder measurements. Then from the difference between my shoulder slope and my armhole, that is the chest line, I'll divide it into 2. What I have there, I'll get the midpoint of it. Alright, so from here now I'll connect to this point, then make a curve into that area, and this is what I have. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do now is you're going to insert our bust measurement. So we have 8.25 for our bust measurements, 8.5 actually for our bust measurements. Then you go ahead and insert your seam allowance. Then I'll come here and I'm going to insert my waist measurements plus my seam allowance. Then I'll connect it to this point. And this is what I have. Okay, so the next step now is to cut this thing out. But before then, please note that we're going to be having a dart on our back piece. Okay, and our dart is going to be 4 inches. The difference from the same midpoint inwards, you mark 4 inches. Then your chest line, you're going to do it 1 inch or 2 inches below your chest line. So we have 13.5 inches here. 1 inch below it is 12.5. I'm going to mark 1/2 inch on both sides. This is for our chest line. Please kindly note. This is for our dart intake. Sorry. And this is what we have. So we have removed 1 inch here. I'll go ahead to add it back to my fabric. Then I will trace what I have. So guys, this is what we have. We'll go ahead now to cut this piece out. Now the next thing to do is to use this to cut out our front piece. So now, the next thing we're cutting out now is our front piece. Okay, so let me trim off this bottom part first. Oh, okay. So now the back piece, the front piece is going to be 4 inches longer than our back piece. Okay. Before then, I marked 1.5 inches. You can decide to work with 1 inch. Okay. I think 1 inch is more preferable to 1.5 inches. So we're going to be working with 1 inch. Please note that this 1 inch is for our zip allowance. We're going to be having a zip in front of our dress. That is why we have these 1 inches here. Okay. So now this is the center of our back piece. I'm going to go ahead to mark it, and this is what I have. All right. So now from here, I'm going to be connecting to the center where we have our 1 inch zip allowance. This is to enable us from that triangle. The triangle shape we have on our dress. Okay, and this is what we have. Now from here we're going to be connecting to our seam allowance. So from here I'm going to measure what I have for my waist. I have 7.25, which is here, plus this 1 inch that is going off for our darts, and this is what we have here. Okay, so from here now, which is the 4 inches below, I'm going to be connecting to this point here. All right, to form the shape at the bottom of our dress, at the bottom of our top, and this is what we have. All right, so we'll go ahead now to pull this piece out. If you look closely here, which is the center of our front piece, where we have our 1 inch, I made a curve. I didn't cut it out in a straight form, like in a sharp edge. I had to make a curve, so when joining it, I'm not going to struggle. Okay, then from here I'm going to cut off this other side. You still make your curve at that point, and this is what we have. Okay, so I'll proceed now to cutting out the other areas for them. So loves, this is what we have. Now we're going to be working on the neck area of our dress. Okay, so for our fronts, first of all, we're going to be working on the back neckline. For our back neckline, we're going to be working with 1.5 inches. That is the depth of our front neckline. We'll connect it to our 3 inches width. Go ahead and cut it out. Now we'll work on the front. Okay, so you're going to mark how deep you want your front neckline to be. So for this, I'm going to be working with 8 inches. Please note that you can decide to work with lower. So what you have to do is so guys, now the front neckline. Okay, so I'm going to come down from the shoulder line to 9 inches, and this is what we have. Okay, and our width is 3 inches. So from our width, I'm going to be connecting to my 9 inches. So the next step now is to go ahead and cut this out. Then I'll open it up this way. So the next thing we're going to go ahead to do now is to cut out a lining piece for each of these. Alright. So at this point, I went ahead to cut out my lining piece, and this is my lining. So guys, the next thing we're going ahead to do now is to stitch on our darts. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead to do this for my back piece and the lining piece separately. Alright. So now the next thing we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead to shape our pieces. Okay, lining to lining, fabric to fabric. This is after we are done running a stitch on our lining, on our darts. Okay, so I've marked my shape line for my dress on my back piece. Now I flipped it to the right side. I'm going to bring one part of the back piece, one part of the front piece, sorry, and I'm going to place it. Go ahead and arrange it properly, and this is what I have. So I'll go ahead to shape my dress now. Alright, run a stitch on it. So loves, at this point now, I'm gonna have to shape each piece separately. My lining piece separate, my main fabric piece separate. Now for the lining piece, one part of the lining piece, I had to make an opening because this is where I will turn out everything from. Okay, so now I'm going to start off with the neck area. I'm going to close up the neck area, the bottom parts of it. Okay, the armhole area, but please don't close up the shoulder pieces, just let it be. So now I'm gonna ahead to run a stitch on all the sides, both the armhole area, the side, the bottom part of it, the neck area. Okay, please note that I did not stitch on the shoulder. Alright, so now I'll flip to this lining side. Remember we had an opening where we're going to flip everything out, so I'm going to be using it to flip all of them out. So guys, the next thing I went ahead to do after turning on my piece is to iron it down. Then I'm going to go ahead to join my two shoulders together. This is the final result. Opted not to fix a zip.